It had been so long since Tommy had heard from his little cousin. They had been so close in their younger days, but with all the work on his hand, he had fallen out of touch with her. It was so good to hear from her again. Tommy was curious to know what she had been up to. However, a few words in, and Tommy sensed that something was wrong. He had yet to find out just how wrong things were. Hello everyone, and welcome to our channel. Being a father is a daunting task, so imagine being a father and a grandfather in one go. No one could have risen to this challenge better than Tommy. Before we find out what exactly happened to him, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Click on that little bell icon so you'll never miss our exciting videos. Tommy Connolly was a 23-year-old young man attending the University of Sunshine Coast in Queensland, Australia. He was a great student and worked hard for his grades. Tommy also got a part-time job as a real estate agent. Apart from being an excellent student, Tommy was also an accomplished athlete. He was a star in the track and field. In a regional level competition, Tommy was flying. His coaches saw his amazing potential and saw a bright future for him. Tommy was dedicated to the sport. He spent every minute he could spare from his schedule to practice. His coach believed in his skills so much that Tommy was trained to compete internationally. Little did Tommy know that his track life would soon come to a jolting halt. Outdoor activities were Tommy's go-to pastime. His life was filled with hikes, whitewater rafting, and rock climbing. He was a young man who knew to have fun in the good old ways. Despite his busy and crammed up schedules, Tommy enjoyed his life to the fullest. With a supportive family, great friend, and a loving girlfriend, Tommy's life was full of all things wonderful. He was happy and content. Tommy had no idea about the approaching whirlwind of events that would change his life forever. Tommy juggled his many commitments with ease. His life was busy and productive, and it was just the way he liked it. He was a 23-year-old with plenty of energy to spare, and he put his energy to good use. In college, Tommy studied business and economics. He aimed to open up his own business someday. His part-time job earned him a handsome sum per month, which, unlike many other young men his age, he saved up. Pushing himself was Tommy's way of doing things. He was an achiever. He had elaborate plans for his life. He had aims of his own business, and he dreamt of the Olympics. But one simple message would turn his life upside down. One day, Tommy received a Facebook message from his cousin. This was entirely out of the blue. He used to be rather close to her back in simpler days, but Tommy had his hands full, and the pair lost contact soon after she moved away to a different town. Tommy was delighted at receiving the message. They hadn't spoken in almost a decade. His cousin was just 16, and he wondered how her schooling was going. She was, after all, his favorite little cousin. I was really excited to hear from her because I've always had a soft spot for her. She was my favorite little cousin. She was the sweetest girl, and we got along so well, Tommy said. However, a few messages in, Tommy quickly realized that something was very, very wrong. His precious little cousin, Kiana, was at the rock bottom of life. While Tommy was enjoying the best of everything in life, she was scrounging for scraps. It was not a life for any person, much less a 16-year-old girl. Kiana was barely hanging on. She was homeless, living on the streets with no shoes. She had only a backpack of clothes. Tommy was lost for words. He was in shock at his cousin's condition. Why was this young girl living on the streets? Things were not so great for Kiana at home. In fact, it was so bad that Kiana was driven out. She had been sleeping outside the Gold Coast area with no possessions and no one to turn to. She had no money to buy proper food, and it was a miracle that she had survived that long. Without any money, Kiana had no choice but to resort to criminal activity. But was no hardened criminal and got caught by the police one too many times. She fell into using drugs, but managed to pull herself away from the addiction. To make matters worse, Kiana's boyfriend went to jail. He was her last form of support, and without him, she was hopelessly alone. She was not someone who knew the ways of street living and realized that the odds were not in her favor. Life dealt Kiana a poor hand, and she'd had to play it the best she could. She spent more time on the streets than anywhere else and knows the police better than she knows her own family, Tommy wrote in a Facebook post. Tommy was aghast. He couldn't even begin to imagine the struggle his cousin was going through, and she was still just a little girl. He blamed himself for losing contact with her. He should have checked in with her once in a while, but he was swept away chasing his dreams while poor Kiana starved on the streets. Kiana didn't ask Tommy to take her in because she knew about his busy life, but she didn't have to say anything more. Tommy was already planning on helping her, no matter the cost. This was no way for a young girl to live her life. He was lucky that it was his day off. Tommy jumped into the car and rushed over to pick Kiana up. He couldn't bear the thought of that sweet little girl living on the street for one more second. The moment they met, Kiana flopped into his arms, thankful for having someone to lean on. It was settled. Kiana would stay with him. Tommy was determined to help his little cousin in any way, shape, or form that he could. As Kiana walked into the house, she felt a pang of guilt. She still had one more secret. Tommy soon found out that Kiana had not even received a proper education. He took on the responsibility of giving his cousin everything she deserved in life without a moment's hesitation. He was going to make sure that she was healthy and get her back to school to learn how to read and write. All her life, Kiana had been moved from one foster family to the next. She had passed from house to house without ever finding a proper home. Tommy knew the bliss of having a wonderful family, and he wanted Kiana to feel it too. That's why he decided to be Kiana's guardian. When he told her the news, he expected her to jump up in joy. Instead, she just broke down. She could no longer keep her secret. It was wrong to keep it from Tommy when he was so kind to her. Kiana was 23 weeks pregnant. She was terrified that Tommy would kick her out once he knew the truth. But, to her surprise and sheer happiness, Tommy hugged her. He assured her that he would not abandon her, no matter what. No matter what his losses would be, Tommy was determined to help his cousin and her baby. These were two lives at stake, with nowhere to go and no one to turn to. He simply did not have the heart to turn away. He then learned that the baby was in jeopardy. Child services had been following Kiana around and had informed her that the child would be taken from her after she gave birth. This haunted Kiana every second. Her baby was the one thing that kept her going through her lonely days on the street, and she had such plans for the little one. She wanted him to have everything in life that she didn't get to enjoy, and the thought of having to give her baby up tore Kiana apart. But Tommy was not going to let that happen. He knew that if he became Kiana's legal guardian and offered her a permanent place to stay, she would get to keep the baby. He rushed to get all the paperwork in place before the baby arrived. All of this work put Tommy's track training to a stop, but Tommy didn't even blink. He knew that his cousin needed him. He was all she and her baby had. Tommy even used up his life savings to get them a bigger rented apartment. When the baby finally arrived, Tommy was the official legal guardian of Kiana. So in one sweeping gesture, 23-year-old Tommy was now a father and a grandfather. Kiana's life was much better now. She had a home, new clothes, and a driver's license. Add to that the kitten Tommy got for her. She could not be happier. Tommy was now multitasking at a rate. He completed an assignment while in the waiting room, filmed the birth of his little grandson, and made it to class the very next day to give a presentation. But he wasn't complaining. Seeing his cousin brimming with smiles made all the efforts worth it. Kiana and her baby are now living very happily together with their new family. Even Tommy's girlfriend pitched in to help their family. And Tommy has now opened his own business, just like he planned to. In the end, everything worked out for everyone in the best way possible. What would you have done if you were in Tommy's place? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.